Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're mapping out the software engineering journey, from early curiosity to technical leadership. Now this career path is not a straight predictable line. It's honestly a fascinating evolution. It's a journey that takes a person from executing tiny isolated tasks to eventually leading people, shaping strategy, and running massive technical ecosystems. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a pretty wild question. Can you actually predict a future software engineer just by watching them play? If you're a parent or maybe you're an aspiring techie yourself, this probably grabs your attention right away. I mean, where does that initial spark actually begin?
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Sparking initial curiosity. 2. Entering the junior role. 3. Mastering the mid-level. 4. Senior and staff leadership. And 5. Reaching the executive level.
Section 1, sparking the initial curiosity.
Well, before the fancy job titles and the salaries, there's just this foundational urge to create. But where does that start? When we look at the signs of future coding potential, we really have to distinguish between passive screen time and active engagement. Because spending hours watching videos on a tablet, that isn't necessarily a sign of tech talent. But if a kid gets lost in deep focus activities, shows left brain logical thinking, and absolutely loves tinkering with things like Minecraft's redstone mechanics or building small games in Scratch, now that is active problem solving. They are naturally breaking big problems down into smaller, manageable parts.
So how do you actually nurture that raw potential? A kid's coding tutor hit the nail on the head with this quote. They said, the fastest way to get a child interested in coding is to connect it to something they already care about. Without it, coding is just another lesson. Bridging that gap between a kid just sort of blindly following instructions and achieving true understanding means you have to link code to their personal passions. Whether that's animating a digital pet, coding a recipe randomizer for a kid who loves baking, or making a sports stats tracker, that connection really has to be felt.
All right, Section 2, entering the junior role.
Fast forward a few years and the stakes get very real. There is a massive, stark difference between being a hobbyist coder and a paid junior developer. A hobbyist usually works alone, right? They focus heavily on just learning programming syntax. But getting paid, that's a whole different ballgame. It means your job is now taking business requirements and turning them into real-world solutions. You aren't just pumping out code for fun anymore, you're part of a larger team solving highly specific problems for a business.
And honestly, this exact transition is why so many people face developer imposter syndrome. We really need to emphasize this definition. It's the false belief that I am fundamentally incapable, rather than the very normal truth, which is simply, I am new and still learning. Look, if you're in your first 2 years, you are absolutely going to feel like a fraud sometimes, mostly because you're still building your foundational skills. But a lack of years of experience compared to the senior developers on your team, that's just arithmetic. It is literally not a character flaw.
When we look at how top tech companies actually structure this entry point, like Square's Engineering Level 3, which they define as a new engineer with potential, we see that companies expect junior devs to focus strictly on clear execution. Under direct supervision, you're debugging, you're fixing issues, and you're learning standard practices. The golden rule here? Don't try to be clever right now. Just try to be clear and soak up exactly how these massive systems work.
Section 3, mastering the mid-level.
As those fundamental skills start to solidify, engineers transition from asking what to do to figuring out how to do it. Check out this crucial shift in system design focus. A junior candidate evaluates fundamental building blocks, but a mid-level candidate, you actually have to connect those blocks into a scalable architecture. It's this massive shift in leverage. You start looking at the broader system and how it ages over time, rather than just writing individual isolated functions.
At Square, they call this Engineering Level 4, a solid contributor. This is where the training wheels firmly come off. You're now independently responsible for the entire lifecycle of your code. We're talking from development and testing all the way through to production and any subsequent fixes. You also start doing code reviews that actively help the rest of your team. Basically, you've become a highly functioning, independent operator.
Section 4, Senior and Staff Leadership.
So, where do you go from there? Well, this is the pivotal moment in a developer's career where the path officially forks. The core idea here is a major shift in leverage. As the old saying goes, what gets you here won't get you there. Success at the senior level and beyond means making others effective. It's no longer just about your personal coding brilliance or how incredibly fast you can type out a script. It's entirely about your ability to multiply the effectiveness of your team. Can you anticipate failures? Can you remove blockers for everyone else?
Notice the two distinct paths you can take when you hit Square's Engineering Level 5. On one side, we have the new Engineering Manager. This role is all about team pace, hiring, setting goals, and developing people. On the other side, we have the strong independent contributor. This path means you stay highly technical, you improve architecture, and you write heavy design docs. Both of these tracks offer immense growth and influence, but they are optimizing for completely different strengths.
But whether you choose the management path or the independent contributor route, the growth tactics for senior roles are actually quite similar. You need to mentor proactively and without waiting for some formal company program to tell you to. Notice a teammate is stuck? Jump in and help them. You've got to make your work legible, own the ambiguous, messy problems that are slowing others down, and make cross-team contributions. Honestly, anticipating failures and helping juniors get unstuck is exactly how you prove you're ready for that next level.
Finally, Section 5, reaching the executive level. At this stage, we are basically exiting the codebase and entering the realm of organizational leadership. Let's briefly trace this timeline, because it really is an incredible hero's journey. Years 0 to 2 are all about execution. Years 2 to 5 shift to independence. By years 5 to 8, you're stepping into team leadership. And by year 12 and beyond, you are shaping organizational strategy. The evolution from a supervised junior fixing small bugs to a visionary leader setting the course for hundreds of people is just immense.
For instance, Square's Engineering Level 7 is defined as an organizational leader. What really stands out here is the expectation that Level 7 individual contributors spend significantly more time on non-coding activities. That requires a very conscious shift in your career goals. Your scope is now setting broad architectural direction for the whole organization, ensuring technical designs are properly evaluated across various teams, and directly influencing senior executives on engineering strategy. And at the very top of the ladder, Engineering Level 8, a company leader. It's almost funny when you think about it. The exact same person who started out sequencing basic logic in Minecraft as a kid is now out there synthesizing company-wide technical infrastructure, driving multi-million-dollar buy versus build decisions, and managing an organization that directly impacts the company's core revenue and direction. At this point, they've completely mastered the ecosystem.
Which brings us to a really fascinating paradox to close out our explainer today. Is the ultimate goal of a coder to eventually stop writing code? It's a pretty powerful thought to leave you with, how mastering the incredibly technical craft of programming ultimately leads to managing the people, the strategy, and the entire ecosystem built around it. It's a phenomenal journey for sure. Thanks so much for diving into the source material with me today on this explainer. Keep learning and keep building.